Hi, welcome back to Mind Control. Hope you enjoy the video.
This coronavirus is bigger than 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or anything we've ever seen before. And on the biggest picture of all, the coronavirus and the coming crash, financial collapse possibly, marks the end of the industrial age and the beginning of the information age. It's a very big move. And the people that are in trouble today are people still stuck in industrial age thoughts. And let me give you an example. The reason London Real and Brian Rose is doing so well is you guys moved on. I moved on. Rich Dad moved on years ago. The people that are having a hard time are called BBC, NBC, CBS, because they're still industrial age and they're going to get crushed. So that's why I'm very happy to talk to you. I love your program. I love your guest because we've moved on. The people that are struggling financially haven't moved on yet. Those of you at home right now who are sitting going, but I'm going to lose my job, my house, my pension, and all this, it's because you're trapped with old thoughts. And as most people know, is that, when I came up with Rich Dad, Poor Dad 20-something years ago, mainstream media crucified me. They said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, the rich don't work for money. Savers are losers. Your house is not an asset. And I was crucified, just crucified. And the good news is, as several of your guests have said, the most important thing you can have right now is not job security, but meaningful work. So you and I don't need the money, but our work is meaningful. And it's our meaningful work that gets us through the hard times. So the good news is my company is sold out. We cannot keep up with product. The bad news is the supply chain shut down, but that's a good problem. We have tons of cash. I have gold, I have silver. And I do have challenges in the real estate market, but that's going to make me stronger. That's my only attitude I can have. Otherwise, I just cry and say, well, the government should take care of me. I need a bailout. I need a stimulus. And Brian, you and I know stimulus means welfare for the rich. When I talk to young people, which drives the school teachers, I don't go back to schools anymore because I'm not politically correct. You know what I mean? Okay. So when I used to go to
school. That's why we like you, Robert.
Yeah. So I went back, so when I would explain the Fed to them, I said, well, just think of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. There was the Tin Man, there was a Straw Man, and there was a lion with no heart. And so they thought they could go see the wizard, and the wizard would give them what they asked for. So they prance along the yellow brick road, and they pull back the curtain, and it's a midget back there. This big illusion. And that's Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen, and this guy Powell, and before that was that other character, I forget his name already. But everybody thinks they're wizards, but they're controlled by grunge, gross universal cash base. Our wealth is stolen via the money we work for. We need financial education because the real problem of this crisis started back in 1904 when the richest guys on earth took over the education system in the United States. They formed a thing called the General Education Board. It was formed by guys like Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan. And what they pulled out of education was financial education. And so the reason they could rip us off, as you and I know, is via the mechanism of money. And that's why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was a warning shot across the bow back in 1997. I said, wake up, something's coming down the road. So we're here right now. This is the biggest transformation in the history of the world. It's from industrial age to information age. Brian Rose is doing well because you made the transition. I'm doing well because I made the transition. I'm making more money than ever before. I have problems, but I'm making more money than ever before. But if you're losing money right now, the problem starts in what you were taught in school. Because they never taught you anything about money. They never taught you about a financial statement. Like my rich dad did, they teach you that diploma is everything. It's a piece of toilet paper. BS.
And you buy into that mechanism of money, and you believe that is the only thing to focus on. And what you're saying right now with these stimulus packages is all of this money being given, quote unquote, away by the government to everybody is actually devaluing your dollar, it's devaluing your pension, it's devaluing your savings, and it's wiping out businesses. So it's you're dying by this sword.
This is how what Fuller talked about, the prison is inside our head, Buckminster Fuller. It starts with misinformation and misorientation. Misinformation, misorientation. And he says, how dare our schools punish kids for making mistakes? How else do you learn if you don't make a mistake and learn from your mistake? He says, God designed us. I'm not really religious, I'm not preaching here, okay? God designed us to learn by making mistakes. For instance, a baby learns to walk by falling down. Baby learns, to ride a bicycle by falling off the bicycle. Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer ever in history of the world, because he made more mistakes than you and I did. But our schools punish you for making mistakes. 2008, it was, those credit default swaps. It was for residential real estate, so they bailed them out. This next crash is for the hedge funds and private equity that invested in all this commercial real estate. So I have another $100 million project coming out. I just got bailed out. I just got backed up by the Fed and the government. So that's why it's socialism for the rich. Unfortunately, there's capitalism for the poor middle class, those that work for money. You're on your own.
Right.
If you own a small restaurant and you got to let go of your staff, you're no different than your staff right now. The national debt for World War II was $25 billion. Every day today, they're printing $125 billion. Every single day, that's like 5 World War IIs per day. They're printing so much money to keep this think of a hot air balloon with a tear in it. And they're doing desperately trying to fix this tear, but no matter how hard they try, the tear has gone beyond, it's coming down. So in financial terms, it's called our debt to GDP has now gone from 60 to 90 to 105, it's going to 120. We're bankrupt. And they're going to print more and more money, which means savers are losers, just as I predicted. Your money is going to be worthless in a few years. Wow. So my message is the same as some of your other guests. This is metamorphosis time. Financial education, in Rich Dad's terms, is really financial transformation. And the definition of metamorphosis is very important. Metamorphosis, the definition is the evolution or the transformation from an immature form to an adult form. An immature form to an adult form. Metamorphosis is the same as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And Fuller always said there's nothing to predict a butterfly inside a caterpillar. So everybody listening right now, if you're struggling financially, just think of yourself as a little caterpillar. And this crisis is your cocoon. The question is, what do you emerge as? Do you emerge as a victim? The world did that to me, and the capitalists are crook, and the rich are bastards, and all this stuff? Or do you say, oh, this is the best thing that ever happened to me? The choice is between your head, your heart, your body, your mind, your spirit. That's where the choice, the metamorphosis, the evolution or the transformation from an immature form. Mommy, daddy are going to take care of me. Mommy and daddy are going to pay for my education. The government's going to give me Social Security. I have a 401k. My employer is an asshole. You're going to evolve from that into an adult. That's metamorphosis.
It does sound like a little kid.
If you grow up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, and health-wise, voila, this is the best thing that happened to me. But if you're still a victim, you're not going to make it. The metamorphosis begins when you look in the mirror. And it's just like when I was going to blow this little boy's head off in Vietnam. I said, why am I doing this? Why am I going to kill this little 10-year-old boy? Now, he was a Viet Cong. I was justified by the rules of engagement to shoot him. But one day I wondered, why am I doing this? And if you're standing in front of the mirror today, with this coronavirus and looming depression, how did I get here is the question. What don't I know? What did my information, education, cultural background, what did not prepare me for today? That's where the transformation or the metamorphosis begins. You take responsibility. Everybody talks about rights, but we have personal responsibilities too. And unfortunately, our university systems have failed us miserably. And the reason for that is every professor wants tenure. That's my whole family. That was the most important thing about getting a job, was tenure, job security for life. And that's what they teach kids without knowing it. They teach kids that life is dangerous and you need to be protected. So they're immature. College professors are some of the most immature. They might be very smart mentally, but immature financially. They can't take care of themselves. So they're teaching kids to be victims. That's why these trigger mechanisms, and you can't say words that are hurtful and all this stuff. So they're teaching that you're a victim, you're vulnerable. And what you teach and what I teach is that, hey, don't be a victim, be proactive.
Can you just talk me through a few asset classes and explain kind of what's going on? Because I still think it's important for you to walk us through some basics, Robert, and whether that's real estate or oil or gold and silver, which you call God's money. Maybe you can give us all just a quick education on kind of some of that stuff. And I also heard you talking about something called the US crypto dollar. I don't know, maybe you could define some of those things for us, right now.
Well, gold and silver were here when the earth was formed. Do you know what I mean? It'll be here long after we're gone. It's God's money. God made it. And in our language, it's called counterparty risk. There's no counterparty risk. Your counterparty is God. That's pretty good. That's like a co-signer is God. The banks will back you up. Oh, who's your co-signer? Oh, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. Okay, we'll give you the money. So gold has that. Now gold goes up and down because the gold market is manipulated. The futures market, the ETF market, GLD, SLV, and then physical gold. So the thing I think is interesting is the price of gold goes down, but you can't buy any gold at the physical market. So the futures market is coming down, the GLD price is coming, the paper market is coming down, but physical, you can't get anything on it. Why? It's because the rich are hoarding it. The rich are hoarding gold and silver like toilet paper and guns. The poor and middle class are calling their financial planner, and the financial planner is telling them to stay in it for the long term. And meanwhile, the rich are getting out. Wake up is my message.
I want to know, when was that moment for you where you drew a line in the sand and was like, okay, I need to fucking scale this thing up.
2010, man.
Yeah, and tell me a bit about that.
Economy had crashed. I had 3 companies at the time. 2 of them got one of them got 90% of it was just okay. Everything was left on it but the head, maybe.
Decapitated.
It was that's all that was left, though, was the head, right? It was just a look. And then that was a partner's business. And then another company that I had was a consulting company. It was useless. It was me popping out on the road, pitching stuff, selling, very transactional. That one got pretty much here, cut in half. And anybody that was still doing business with me in 2010 was just they were beat up. So everything was decided on price. No contracts, so I had 2 of the 3 businesses. The third business was the real estate. In 2010, you couldn't move a piece of real estate. But the real estate that I had was cash flow real estate. It's all similar to what we buy today, just today's much bigger. Because one thing I realized in 2010 was the real estate that I owned, even though real estate was decimated worldwide, the real estate I owned got us through 2010.
Yeah.
And if it wouldn't have been for that, I'd have gone bankrupt. It got me through. Now at the same time, the old saying, when it rains, it pours, right? So I was trying to make a move. I knew I was doing something wrong, right? Between, probably 2004 and even 2001, even earlier, I was like, I'm doing something wrong here, man. I've been in business 20 years. I made some money. I had some money set aside, but I was always worried about the money. I had accumulated a little money. I wouldn't use it for marketing, wouldn't use it for branding, wouldn't use it to scale. I didn't trust that if I invested it, it would come back to me. So I was trying to hold on to it. I was doing what my parents had taught me, right? So I was very much in a trap. But then in 2001, I see all these companies blowing onto the internet and then folding. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I I'd have this idea to push, and then I'd get scared. Oh, I'm gonna get whacked.
And you were already kicking money into property at this stage?
Yeah, but not much. I think I owned 300 or 400 units.
Okay.
Now I had a moment where I had to almost detox off this easy way of doing business.
Okay, so then what did you do?
So now I'm like, okay, I had to sit down and figure out what have I done wrong here? I've done something wrong. Something's not working. It was when you finally hit bottom. You know, when I was 25, I hit bottom with the drug problem. And I hit bottom again. This time I hit bottom, but I had a little money now. It's a similar bottom. And now I'm like, okay, what am I addicted to? I was addicted to easy. I was lazy.
Yep.
I was doing the same thing over and over again. I wasn't recreating myself. I wasn't spending money on marketing. I wasn't learning about the internet and social media. At the same time, I had a lawsuit hit me from this fucking criminal. Same time, a bank that I owed money to went under. The bank went under. I didn't go under. The bank did. But when the bank goes under, okay, and you're on the ship, man, the ship going under, everybody's gonna pay a price here. So all those things had me look at, hey, what do I have to do to scale? So like who survived 2010? The biggest companies on the planet.
Yep.
They didn't just survive. They prospered. And I'm like, that's who I need to become.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
I fought a good fight. I fought for my kids, and I fought for what was right. And I fought for my good health. And I fought for a good career that would bless my family. I fought a good fight. The encroachment. Opposites are in conflict, and we're in the middle. And if you want something valuable, you got to fight for it.
If you get beat, unless you're dead, you are not defeated, and you have not failed. What you've done is you've learned. You've gained experience, and you're still alive. So get up and go get after it.
Not only have I fought a good fight, I fought a good fight, and I kept the faith. See, that's the deal. Keep faith with your family. Fight like crazy and keep faith. Fight the enemy and keep faith.
You have comeback power. When something happens to you, don't buy into what has happened to you. Buy into, I'm getting up out of here. I'm going to change this situation. This does not work for me, and I don't have the luxury of being depressed. I need to clear my head.
But let me tell you what ought to cause great joy to come to your life is if you'd stop comparing yourself to other people and you would just remember where you came from and remember where you started. You're doing more. You're seeing more. You're achieving more. But if you start comparing yourself with someone else, you can get discouraged because they're doing more maybe than you're doing.
You got to clear your head so that the decision that you make represents the best in you. Be still and know that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. You got to assure yourself. You have to encourage yourself. You have to clear your mind.
You have a great life in front of you. But your great life is in front of you. It's not behind you. What you did back there ain't got nothing to do with what God got for you. What you did back there was learn the lessons to get you to where you are at this particular moment right here.
The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. It's all a part of a process for growing for me. To me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself.
I fought one hell of a fight. Are there any fighters in here? I mean, I fought such a good fight that when I look at what other people call a fight, what they call a fight is what I call normal. I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to live. I fought to get out of the bed. I fought with my fears, my anxieties, my insecurities. I fought with haters, liars, backbiters, and betrayers. And many times I laid in the bed. I couldn't go to sleep because I was fighting with myself. I fought.
Take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Take ownership of everything in your world, the good and the bad. Everyone took ownership of their mistakes. Everyone took ownership of the problems. Take ownership of your job, of your future, and take ownership of your life. And lead. Lead yourself and your team and the people in your life. Lead them all to victory.
Make your move before you're ready. We're instructed in life to walk by faith and not by sight. See, you want to really begin to stretch yourself. You want to become a risk taker. Most people won't do that. See, most people engage in low life living, low risk living. This God said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. Then what else is there?
Anybody who's not ever willing to risk will never do very much in this world. And in all probability, you'll end up being quite bored with your life. A couple things that I said last night that I don't want you to forget is walking by faith is taking step one before you know what step two is. After a few times, you get a little more used to it and it's not quite as scary, but taking a step of faith is stepping out to do something when you don't know how it will be provided for. But you believe with all your heart that it's what God has told you to do.
Life is short and unpredictable. And so you want to begin to take some chances. You want to begin to challenge yourself and make it okay to fail and learn from your failures. Don't allow fear of failure to draw you in. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here.
You got to make changes. You got to say no. You got to disappoint people. You got to walk away from some stuff. You have to. And so, stepping away from things has felt much more dangerous to me than taking on 5 new things. Does anybody get it? Anybody out there, you get it?
Trying to learn early the consequences of errors in judgment, poor behavior. And then try to learn from others that have gone down a disastrous road, and sure enough, they suffered the consequences, and you say, wow, then I'm going to change direction because I don't want those consequences. That's called being doubly smart, learning from errors in judgment. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now you're on the road to success. A few errors in judgment repeated, and you can turn anything around. Once you see that you're suffering either early consequences or severe consequences, all you have to do now is shut down that route, pick another destination and start going that way with some easy disciplines that day by day gather momentum, and now one success leads to another, leads to another. Here's what we call that: disciplines. Easy disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. Every discipline affects the rest. Every lack of discipline affects the rest. What's interesting about success is starting a new discipline, a couple of new disciplines, and sure enough, once you've gained just a little bit of success in a couple of new disciplines, it'll inspire you to clean up the rest. It'll inspire you to fine-tune all of your other disciplines. Each lack of discipline affects the rest. Solving problems, going from errors in judgment to easy disciplines that can change it all. And if you start that journey, it doesn't take long for new signs of success to appear. I got such great results that first year that I made these incredible changes, learning extra skills, putting together extra disciplines, working harder on myself than on my job. The early signs of the fact that I was going to arrive at a more positive destination, I was hooked. It didn't take but a few months, less than a year, and I was hooked for life.
So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What is it that I want to do with the rest of the life that I have left? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dreams? You can either live your dreams or live your fears. You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more. That's when people go out and strike out on their dreams. That's when people get out of relationships where they're dying together rather than growing together. See, you will when you put yourself in that kind of situation. I'm reminded of two frogs that were hopping down the road and they fell into a bottle of milk. And one was hopping up and down for a while and he drowned. He just gave up. But this other frog just kept on kicking. He wouldn't give up. He just kept on kicking. And pretty soon he churned that milk into butter and he walked on out.
I ask you to start that same journey. Let your new skills, new disciplines affect all of the rest. You really won't be happy if you don't produce. 6/7 of our life was to be devoted to labor and work, to produce a work of art, to produce a good family, to produce an enterprise. That's the essence of life in its best form first, is to be a producer. What is the reason for the seed and the soil and the sunshine and the rain and the seasons of life and its miracle? What's the reason for all of that? Here it is in a nutshell for your notes. To see what you can do with it. We've got books to read and we've got classes to attend and we've got, things to do and things to learn. And if you put it all together, you can have not only your health, but your fortune. Why not see what you can do with what you've been handed? As basic as seed and soil and sunshine and rain. Here's what all of us have the miracle, and it's almost godlike in its potential. The ability to recreate. Only God can create the sunshine, the rain, the seasons, the miracle of life. But here's what humans can do. Recreate those components into a harvest. By planting the seed, reaping the rewards in the harvest. We call that recreation. To recreate. To take your hours and your energy and your life and a bit of skill and create. Actually recreate a career, a future, possibilities, fortune. Recreate.
And that changed my life. It was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said that once a person's mind is expanded with an idea, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So some of you are going to experience a breakthrough. Some of you are going to go back and look at your dreams and brush them off. Whatever goal that you have in mind, I want that to be a goal that will challenge you, something that will make you stretch. It was Osborne who said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it? That you talk yourself out of it? Whatever it is, bring it back out there. How you're going to do it? That will come to you in due time. See, you don't get in life what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You get in life what you are, not what you want. And see, the good news is that we can always become more by working to develop ourselves. You've got to begin to take a look at your life and look at where are you right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives your life a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy? What does a full, rich life means to you? What is it that you could love doing 7 days a week? Think about that.
That takes an incredible psychology. But in that psychology, we bump into limits, and that's what you got to shift. And if your psychology is solid, then you got to say, where are the skills I'm missing? Because that's equally important.
And you won't be happy if you aren't really extending yourself. Because here's really the goal of the human adventure, the full development of all your potential. Why not see how far you can go, how much you can earn, how much you can share, how much you can give? Why not see what all you could be? That's why at my age I'm still working, traveling the world, doing what I've done for all these years, is to see what else I can become. How much stronger could I become? How much more refined could I be in my working with business partners and all the rest? Why not go for that ultimate challenge? On and on. As far as you can. Take it as far as you can. Friendship is one of the greatest support systems in the world. Nourish it, protect it, look after it, develop it to the best of your ability. Next is your heritage. Keep your heritage alive. That's what's made America great, is a combination of a variety of heritages from all over the world. People have been coming from all the countries of the world to America, bringing with them their gifts. Gift of business ethics, gift of government, gift of music.
Could, should, won't. Could, should, don't. It's called disaster. Now, how do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. The next 6 years, I became a millionaire. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. Somebody says, well, what did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my... And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life. Within a 6-year period, I was never the same. And I've kept up that process all these. One of the reasons why I'm here is to continue my craft. I don't want the day to come someday somebody says, you should have heard Jim Rohn 10 years ago when he was really terrific. Guess what I want people to say? I heard him 10 years ago, but you should hear him now. I'm telling you, the man works on his craft. I'm telling you, the man's done some extra reading. I'm telling you, the man doesn't miss a trick. I'm telling you, he's worked hard on himself. That's why he's able to deliver. Like the same thing can happen for you as a teenager. It can happen to you as a mother, as a father, as a business person, as a salesperson, running a business. It doesn't matter. Management, wherever you find yourself. This is the process called personal change. What I say to start with is start with your own philosophy. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors that's called potential discipline. And everybody has it within their power. Well, it was so happy for me to find out at age 25, Mr. Shove said, Tyrone, you don't have to change country, but you do have to change philosophy. And if you'll change philosophy, not country, you can turn around your income, you turn around your bank account, you turn around your skills, you can become capable, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, all the other equities that you could possibly want out of your life, using the only stuff there is and not trying to change any of this stuff. Appreciate all of this stuff with all of its ups and downs, with all of its mystery of why it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Don't challenge this. You don't have to ask for another planet. You don't have to ask for another country. Just ask for another book. Ask for another seminar. Ask for another idea. You can start this whole prosperous life. Now, I could spend the whole day on philosophy. That's where it is. If I could get you intrigued with that enough to study it, enough to ponder it, to where you would pick up a commitment like I did and say, hey, as simple as an apple a day, as simple as a walk around the block, why not start right there? If you don't start there, where else are you going to start? Might as well start where it's easy. Then go to the more complicated. Because if you can't handle the complicated, the simple disciplines, how can you handle the complicated? Philosophy. Here's number. I got to give these now very quickly. I got to cover linger. Number one, we're affected by philosophy. First major of the 5 major. Number 2 is attitude. We're affected by how we feel. First, we're affected by what we know and decisions we make. Second, we're affected by attitude, how we feel. And I gave that quick list. Let me give it to you. It's how you feel about the past. Got to have a good attitude about the past. Use it as a school, not a club. Don't beat yourself to death with your past. Faults, failures, losses. Let the past be a school. Harsh school, maybe. What else new? Let the past be a school master to teach, not to threaten you, but teach. Next is how you feel about this. That's your goal. Talk a little bit about that before we finish. Goal setting. Promise of the future is an obstacle to affect your life. Without a future well designed, we take hesitant. All you have to have is hesitant steps for 6 years. Timid, driven into a corner, not boldly willing to go. Take your portion, take yours. Next, how you feel about everybody else. Got to have a good attitude about everybody else. It takes everybody else to make a market. One person doesn't make a family. One person doesn't make a business. One person doesn't make a corporation. One person doesn't make a community. One person doesn't make a nation. It takes all of us to make a dynamic economy, a nation second to none. It takes all of us to make the economy run. It takes all of us to make the possibility. All the gifts that have flowed in here the last 200 years, unprecedented in 6,500 years of recorded. There's been nothing like it. The ethnic streams that have flowed in here brought their gifts, brought their talent, brought their skills, brought their inventions, brought their work ethic. All of it mixed together is called America. Been nothing like it in 6,500. And to miss the value of it by some, warped attitude about it, I'm telling you, you've missed it all. If you have an appreciation for it all, you'll draw draw from it. And if you draw from all the gifts that have been blended together here for 200 years, now for your value and benefit, think of what you can do for your days, for your business, for your conversation, for your equity. Transform it to an incredible. And here's the last, how you feel about understanding self-worth, bro. Self-worth should be easy. If one of us can do it, all of us. If anybody can think it, we all can think it.
Tom Brady, guys, is equanimity at its finest. He's also not the most athletic, but when it matters most, 3rd and 8, do you know what his third down conversion rate is like as a quarterback? People don't understand quarterbacks. You 3rd and long, there's nobody in the history of football even remotely close. Not the big drive, he's great at that too. It's the little parts of the game where you go, Rodgers, no offense to you Packers fans, it's 3rd and 11, and he audibles out of the right play, audibles into the wrong play, and you're off the field. You don't know why you lose the NFC Championship. The other guy gets up there 3rd and 11, audibles into the right play, and converts. Equanimity under duress, the separator. It's invisible. No one sees it. No one knows what it is. It's the difference. So you need equanimity. You all with me on that? Say yes. Yeah. You also need the power of one more. I'm writing a book right now that I really do believe is going to change the world, called The Life-Changing Power of One More. There's a lot of different things I could say to you about doing one more rep in the gym, making one more phone call a day and stacking all that up, being a one more thinker. That's changed my life. I'm a one more thinker. I also get 3 days in one day. So I'm going to give you 2 gifts here. Number 1, power of one more. If you add a one more multiplier to your organization, it will change everything. Maxwell calls it the law of the catalyst. You can't just be recruiting. You have to be looking for that one more special multiplier catalyst. I call it a rabbit. Someone that joins your team, they set the pace, they set the culture, they set the intensity level. In every company I own, which is 23 of them right now, I am looking for one more multiplier. Pete Brady is a one more multiplier. Let me explain to you. Not just how he works, but it's how he works. It's not how, there's this legendary story going around the last few weeks that during Super Bowl week, Brady's up watching film at 1:30 in the morning, and he's texting the wide receivers at 1:30 in the morning saying, hey, 3rd and short, you can't run this route against this DB. 3rd and 8, this route works against him. Hey, 2nd and short, you can work this route against this DB, but if it's 2nd and long, you can't run this route against him. The level of precision and specificity that he brings to the organization that nobody else understands changes it, but he's a one more multiplier. So is LeBron James. Let me explain to you. When you add a one more multiplier, they infectiously help you magnetize and attract other people like to your organization. You don't know why. I can't explain why. I think it's a vibrational frequency thing. But when I add these players, like if you added me to your team, you added me, you recruited me right now, I promise you within 6 or 7 months, there's 4 or 5 mini-me's around that were never there. But do you know that all 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl were scored by dudes that weren't on the team last year that Brady recruited personally? They get Brady, Gronk, AB, and Fournette all came there because of Brady. One more players that join your team are multipliers for your organization. You can't just look to add people. You can't look to add vanilla generic humans. You need to be looking for one more multipliers. And when you're recruiting and messaging, say it. Because guys like me, when I'm sitting in front of an interview with me, say, let me tell you what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for dominators. I'm looking for people who want to be somebody. When you say that word to me, you're speaking my love language.
Look, if you start hustling and grinding, he'll fill it up for you. But if you ain't got no hustle and no grind, he can't fill it up. So guess what? I don't ever go there to use that land for fishing or not. But I'm changing boys' lives over there. But on top of all that, you know how many houses he done gave me? This, I'm telling you about God. Remember what I told you when I first started? Every statement I signed, when it sound like I'm talking about myself. Remember I said, say, cost God. You know how many houses I got now? They count them up. 6, bruh, 6, 12. No, I ain't got that many houses. But the point I'm making to y'all, you have because you ask. See, I'm giving you stuff you can do. You can talk to people all day. They got video out right now. You can go online, $39.95, how to buy a house with no money down. If you stupid enough, think you can go buy a house with no money down, go ahead. You might can get it with no money down. But at closing, my store really a store about, really is, come out of dirt. I have no college, all of my children. I got 7 there last, got boys, 2 boys come out of Morehouse. I got a daughter that come out of Spelman in Berkeley. I got 2 daughters went to Hampton, and then graduated from Ohio State. I made sure all my kids went to college, cause I know they got to have it. But Daddy, you didn't go to college, but your ass ain't got no. Slipped again, I'm sorry. That came, I ain't even know that got out there. I threw that one out there and I felt pretty good. I said, why is they laughing like that? It's been important for me to empower my children, but not only my children, thousands of young people across the country. And education is the key for it. When I say college, tell nothing, not your education, it's your dream. So what you dream about, what you still dream, what is God still showing nation?
It's hard, and it's not fair. One of the things I like about T. Harvest, he talks about work and investing in yourself. It's not fair when people are going up against that kind of stuff to tell them just think positive and be enthusiastic and everything will work out all right. Ain't that kind of party. It's hard. Life will put some knots on your head. I bought my first home for my mother. I was rushing, didn't know what I was doing, and I bought a home that had a lien against it. And they called me, Mr. Brown, yes, there's a lien against your property. We need $55,000 if you're going to stay there. Wait a minute, sir. I just bought this home. The guy told me there were no liens against it. I'm not the one that owe you the money. You should have checked that out, Mr. Brown. Come on. I called my attorney. We followed up. Yes, Les, there's a lien against the property. But he told me there were no liens. He lied, obviously. Oh, my God. He told me he wanted to help me because he admired the fact that I was buying this home for my mother and that he was adopted and he identified with me. Les, he suckered you. He played you, man. So what? Well, would they take payment arrangements? What about $5,000 a month? They want all the money, Les. They want all the money, or you're going to have to get out. The house is going up for sheriff sale. Do you have it? No, I don't have it. Can they give me some time? Tell them to give me 3 months, please. Give me 3 months. My mother's in her 70s, man. She has a bad heart. Don't do this to me. This is my dream. Don't do this, man. Please, let me talk to them. Les, I'm talking to their attorney. They don't want to talk to you. I've got to talk to their attorneys. Do you have the money? No. Will they give me 3 months? No. What about 2 months? No, Les. They want the money in 7 days. Oh, my God. Let me call you back. I'm not sure. And I walked the floors thinking, God, how could this happen? I got to figure this out, I got to figure this out. It seemed like the days were just ticking off. Thursday, I had to call them and let them know. They called me, Les, do you have the money? No, I don't. Friday, you have to leave. The sheriff will be there. You'll have to leave, Les. They're going to take my house. What about my down payment? You lost it, Les. You lost it. Okay, I got to go. Yes. I prayed, Lord, please. If you show me that you're real, if you're really real, you think Paul worked for you, you haven't seen anything. Don't let me lose this house and watch what I'll do for you. I was trying to cut a deal. Have you ever tried to cut a deal? It's amazing how spiritual you get when you get in trouble. You know what I mean? When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I was going to bed with the Bible and the Holy Quran and Science of Mind and Joel Goldsmith, everything I could find. I was praying to Jesus, Yahweh, Melchizedek, everybody. I was calling on everybody. It's amazing. And here I was walking the floor 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to go and wake my mother up. I got on my knees and I said, Mama, I need you to wake up. She said, what's wrong, Leslie? I can hear you walking back and forth. I'm not asleep, son. I said, there's something I need to tell you. She said, your eyes are red. Why are your eyes red? Because I feel so stupid now. Why? We got to move tomorrow. Why, Leslie? There's a lien against the property and they want $55,000 and I don't have it. And we're going to be set out tomorrow. We have to go back to Liberty City. So she said, it's okay. I don't like this house anyhow. I said, why? She said, because of my arthritic knees. It hurts my knees when I go up the steps. I said, and why didn't you tell me? Because you were so happy. I just said it because you were happy. I'll live in a shack with you, boy. I love you. It's not the house. I love you. I love all my children. I said, thank you, Mama. Thank you.